All right, welcome back. I'm Dr. Dustin Bossum with Dr. Nate Merhote. This is the Vital Wire. All right, so here we go. Podcast number 2 on the day. Vital Wire. So here, as we shift our brain set here, let me just tell you what's coming down the pipeline here on this podcast is, this is a question that we get asked a lot. People get fired up about this. We get fired up about this and are super passionate about overcoming this. A lot of you guys are going to resonate with this, and hopefully it creates questions. But why does it take so long to get results? And overcoming delays in diagnosis and treatment is where we're headed with this. And this can come from a couple different angles, okay? This can come from literally, what is the answer? What do I have? Can you help me? How long is it going to take? And what's it going to cost, right? But it can also come from the perspective of really getting the results. Like, how long is it going to take for me to feel something? When am I going to know this is working? Or people who have been frustrated with, and I've experienced this too, like when I had my injury before chiropractic, and it was, when am I going to get to play again? Why do I have to keep coming and doing this? And how much longer do I have? And what all else am I going to have to do? And I think a lot of people, whether it's sports or health or any sort of physical therapy or surgery or illness, what immune system dysfunction, autoimmunity, it's just like there's a lot of questions with either what do I have, like how long is it going to take to figure this out, but then also how long is it going to take to get my results back, and then I guess the third angle of literally getting the physical results of functioning better, being healthier.
Right. Let's just start at where, getting the answer of what it is, and sometimes why that takes so long. And we can go so many different routes. Routes with this, but everybody's been, let's just say, you go to urgent care or something because you sprain your ankle or you're under the weather and you're just trying to figure out what's going on. What's the first step I need to take to get or start feeling better. And sometimes there's tests that need to be run. And if we go the insurance route, if it's more musculoskeletal, sometimes there's those hoops you need to jump through to get the actual test to get the result on what you're looking for. So a perfect example of that would be sometimes if you're trying to order an MRI, then oftentimes if we're dealing with insurance, they want a negative x-ray first, or at least an x-ray taking, and if there is even a positive finding on an x-ray and an MRI is warranted, then we go that route. But oftentimes and I've dealt with this a little bit more with being in network, whereas Dr. Dustin doesn't have as much experience being in network. Now I am at a network.
That was short-lived. That was short-lived.
But when I was dealing with it, it was trying to order an MRI because I know it was necessary to get the answer to be able to treat the injury the right way and go down the right path. But sometimes being hindered by, you need to do this first, and you need to get this answer first, and then you order this test, and you need to go here for this. So that can be frustrating, and I think a lot of us have been there and gone down that route, whereas it's why can't I just do what I need to do what the doctor is trying to do to get the answers that they need. And unfortunately, with how insurance is set up, sometimes there are hoops that you need to jump through.
Yeah.
So getting that answer initially is what I'm getting at. Can be a little bit challenging if we go down that road. And also another reason why our office is out of network, and we do certain things to get answers quicker than some other offices can. And not saying that going to someone that in network is a bad thing.
Right.
There are times and places for that, but when it comes to simple diagnostic tests that can be ordered to get answers, sometimes we can do a little faster.
Yeah. And so for me to bring the passion project behind this, because I have felt the same way like I said, whether it was growing up and after my perspective of healthcare and what health is and what it looks like and what it really means, before that it all changed, it was very frustrating to go that route, because at the end of the day, good and bad, speed kills, like, period. So you want to figure it out. And that's when people aren't feeling good, when those situations come up, they're not looking for just help. They're looking for how fast they can feel better. Mm-hmm. But then we have this lens of restriction in talking about the insurance side of things, or depending on where you go, whether it's urgent care or ER, there's a lens that is going to delay some of that time, whether it's the line, the resources, the insurance. And I would encourage everybody, and they all know this, it's like, one, the longer you wait, the worse it can get. And that's not only in your health, that's in life. And we can go down the life coaching of this. And this is something that I'm always working on, is very over analytical, talk too much, go too far in depth, overthink. And it's like, make the decision now. So when you go about the insurance route, it's, I'm just going to say it. It becomes a lot of hoops, because they're trying to disprove, because some of those things can be costly because of the price they're putting on it, for whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to just throw out something like greed, but when it becomes a business, you have to be profitable, and you have to pay the investors who are investing in this to be. It starts off as, let's give people an opportunity to get the care they need. Mm-hmm. And then it comes into a little bit of taste of, well, we want to get bigger, so now we have to take on more, and we need investors, and then it can very quickly become convoluted. And I don't mean that as a stab in any certain way of, like, it just is. Mm-hmm. And then we're humans, and the rest of it can kind of fall in place. But then so they've created these hoops that you have to jump through, which can delay the time, when it's just like, I don't need an x-ray of that when I can get a CT and get all of everything that I need. Mm-hmm. Or I can get an MRI, and then that can confirm. It's like, go ahead and take the x-ray. But I know that there's soft tissue damage. Like, we talked about this last week on another podcast. Poor Kristen, I'm going to bring her up again. Mm-hmm. But she just wrecks her foot, rolls her ankle. She was... After the wedding, we had a wedding weekend, but she's on her way home, she's getting gas, and she just wrecks her ankle. And it's like, immediately, MRI right now, period. And it's like, that's just not how it works. And it's like, well, what do you mean? It could be very, very frustrating.
Yeah. And some of those are, to talk from the insurance standpoint, is some of those procedures are in place to save money. That's the ultimate goal with the insurance, is what can we do that's most cost effective but still get the results that we need to get? And I understand that completely. And that's why a lot of those policies and procedures are in place to, in a sense, jump through 100%. Those hoops. But there is also a time and a place where maybe a conversation should be had to, and obviously this takes time, if you're having a phone call with the insurance company saying, look, this is what it is, this is the mechanism of his injury, we have these positive orthopedic tests that, from a research standpoint, say that we need the MRI to basically verify and confirm, what the damage is. An X-ray, will it be beneficial? Maybe, but is there going to be a better imaging, tool to do it? Yes. So from the provider standpoint, we see it as, we're trying to save the insurance money by bypassing an unnecessary
billable expense.
Yeah, something that, we know that if we go this route, then we're going to be able to make a better decision, and maybe even be more conservative. If they're trying to save money and surgery is not the answer, then the MRI is going to tell us if surgery is the answer or not. So if we can get to that answer as quick as possible by, letting the doctor be the doctor, which we talk about all the time, that can be a frustrating thing on our end.
And at the end of the day, it's like, we say this because you scrape everything aside, and if I could talk monotone and not be so overly passionate and show emotion through this, and if you looked at the list, you would very quickly find that you're more apt to get a very customized, patient-centered care when you are less restricted by outside sources. And what that means is out of network as far as speed, being out of network, being able to control costs in various different ways, being able to be patient-centered, because everything that we're talking about right now, and I mean, even with you talking about, it can save money for the insurance companies that we don't have to bill if we just go straight to that. And it's just like, and at the end of the day, we both know it's just like, that's all fine and dandy, but there's a person sitting in front of us. And, yes, it can very quickly go the other way, and doctors start, well, I'm just going to go straight to the MRI. And it's like, well, then you can fall down that route too, of like, okay, so I kind of get the checks and balances, but if you have the diagnostics, you've done the orthopedic test, like you said, you have an active diagnosis, and it's like period, paragraph, you should be able to go directly into whatever phase the doctor needs to do to give the patient the best and fastest care possible, period. And so we're talking about MRIs. So let me just clear this up right now. Blood tests, ultrasound, any sort of advanced neurological testing, CT scans, PET scan, like there's all kind of, this isn't just MRI and advanced imaging. Right. This is, maybe it's a knee replacement. It's like, oh, we're scheduled out for, it's like, holy cow. It's like, well, we need to do this, and this, you need to do PT. It's like, I'm looking at all the imaging and all the diagnostics I need to know, like, in 6 weeks time with all this PT, like, that ain't changing. Like, let's go, because we've got a grandmother here who wants to stand up at Thanksgiving and pick up her grandchildren and make it into Christmas and in the New Year in the best way possible. And we're over here jumping through hoops. Yeah. We have a client who did that a couple years ago. You weren't here yet. And we're still seeing her to this day. And she's like, just so grateful. And that was one of those scenarios.
Yeah. So we can even go down the route now of treatment along the same lines, is where and I'm, again, can use the insurance example. If we're utilizing our insurance for the treatment of an injury or whatever it is, and we're limited by what's allowed, how many visits, the procedure codes that can be billed, all that kind of stuff, that is another example on why it takes so long to get results, as if you're going through that model, and that basically pathway is, if you're doing, I'm not going and don't want to throw a physical therapist under the bus, but I'm just saying, let's just say ankle sprain again. You're going down the physical therapy route. Insurance, let's say your plan covers 20 visits, and you have a grade 2 or grade 3 ankle sprain. Is 20 visits going to get you back to what you need to? Probably not. And maybe your plan only covers the physical therapist to do so many minutes. So let's just say 2 units. So like 30 minutes of physical therapy. They might be able to put some stim, heat, whatever it might be. But then there's other things that they might want to do, whether it's soft wave treatment, laser therapy treatments, other supplementation, those kind of things that aren't covered by insurance, that if you're only allowing the insurance to dictate, or you're doing what is going to be covered, then it's just going to take so much longer, and you're not going to get what you need and where you need to go. So doing it an alternative way, being okay with a out-of-network provider that, might be a little bit more out-of-pocket cost, but weigh the options on, would you rather pay the money out of pocket and get the treatment and the results that you deserve, or would you rather, rely on the insurance, which I also understand from a monetary standpoint. You're raising a family, you're trying to make ends meet, and your insurance, you're already paying a premium, you're paying the deductible, all those kind of things. So there's that pull to maybe want to use that to receive some type of treatment under insurance. But if you look at it in reality, how many people have a $5,000 to $10,000 deductible? You're already paying that out of pocket. Whereas if you went out of network and you're going to pay just a couple $1,000s less than what your deductible is and get the results faster, right? Why not go that route? Something I've always said is don't confuse price with value. What is your ultimate goal? And if your ultimate goal is to get well fast, I think it's everybody's goal. And I think a lot of people are hurt and torn and constrained by cost. Understandable. Communicate. And that's something that I've always asked from people, and something that I try to do excessively is communicate, because there's been a lot of people too that we've been able to help, and they were scared that they couldn't start care here because we were out of network. A lot of people don't even know what that means. Like, there's such a misnomer of out of network. And one of the ones that I'm going to debunk right now, because it really fires me up, is that people are like, oh, you just want to stack cash.
It has nothing to do with that. So let's just get that off the table right off the bat.
Right.
It's being a cash practice or being out of network has nothing to do with we just want to collect cash. Has nothing to do with it. It gives us the ability to do these things in a very quick manner, and we've been able to create relationships and know where to send people for MRIs that cost $500 or less.
Right.
Hear that right now, because people are like, that's $3,000 for an MRI. No, that's a blanket statement bias that you have had stuck in your head and ingrained in your head and seems so big because it's a big technology, and that's what it costs. That's the retail cost of what insurance makes it look like that doctors can bill for. And if your deductible's met, great, you don't have to pay anything. Or there's going to be out-of-pocket expense, and it's like you feel good about only paying $2,600 because your insurance covered $400 of it. What if we could have got it for you for $1,000 or less? Now you just saved $1,400, but gosh darn it, your insurance covered $400 of it. Your 20% co-insurance because you haven't met your deductible. So let's use my insurance. It's like, all right, well, we could have saved you $1,400. That's something to consider. Like, seriously, guys, the blood work that we do. I mean, we'd take 7 pages of tests. If I asked you how much it would cost to do something like that, I've had people say, oh, that's got to be $700, $800, $900 at least. What's an x-ray cost? Oh man, that's got to be $500, $600. Not even close in this office. You know, we've negotiated our own rates with ourselves to be like, this is what we're going to give people. And if we give you a super bill and it gets covered on the back end, great, kudos to you. But it allows us the speed and moral ethics to give you what you need and what it is you're looking for. But communicate is my point, is if you know that there's a doctor that's best for you to help you with the condition and you find out they're out of network or that's where you're being sent, just communicate. There's things that we do in this office and a lot of doctors that we know that are also out of network and dentists that are out of network. And that's why you're seeing, let me just be honest, that's why you're seeing some of these concierge programs. You're seeing some of the MDs go concierge and it's this much for the year and it's only this much for a visit and then you'll only have to pay this much if we need to do anything. Because it allows them to not be handcuffed to, okay, 6 visits and wait. And like you said with the PT, my sister-in-law is going to school to be a PT and she's phenomenal. And they have the same constraints we are. So let me debunk something else. We are not here to take away from physical therapists or take away from Western medicine. They are in the same boat we are. Right. They just got to the point to where they don't have to be referred to in the state of Missouri. So it's like, well, thank God for that. You know, but if we could learn how to collaborate together as 2 professions alone that are out of network and we all do this together, could you imagine what health would look like in our communities if those 2 professions came together? Yeah. And the speed that we would kill injury, sickness, and illness with?
And also I want to say this is that I'm not saying that providers that are in network or going to someone that's in network is a bad thing.
100%.
There are tons of clients and people that we've talked to that had great success with going to in-network providers. I myself have done the same thing. And I used to be a in-network provider. So I understand that and I get that side of it. So there are great providers that are in network and that I've often referred to. Oftentimes when we're referring to an orthopedist, they're in network. So it's not like we're trying to say every single person you have to go to has to be out of network. Sometimes you're going to get better care and better options, yes. And a good example of that is, and I'll just tell a story of when I was in network, let's just say, again, someone comes in with an ankle sprain. And as a chiropractor, which that's my degree, the only thing that the insurance would allow me to do with the patient would be a spinal manipulation. Spinal manipulation is what they're calling it, obviously, the adjustment. Is it a great thing? Yes. Is it going to get their ankle sprain back to 100%? No. Am I trained to do everything a physical therapist can do, everything a chiropractor can do, and then some to get them back to what they need to be able to do to play their sport? Absolutely. Can I do that if I'm in network? No. I can only do an adjustment every time that patient comes in. And so that's where it's limiting, where my hands are tied. I know exactly what I should have done and what I can do for that patient, but I did have to refer out, co-manage, which is also okay. And I'm doing that right now with the kind of the other way around, where there's a client that's coming in and she's seeing a physical therapist that's in network for her insurance. And I just had a conversation with her physical therapist this morning to create that relationship. And we had a great conversation. And so she's seeing a network provider. She's also seeing me, an out of network provider, and she's getting great results. So it can be done both ways. But just go to show that there are some things that we're doing in this office with her that she would have never been able to receive if she was just going into network providers.
Yep. And again, this is about speed, because we know, and we've asked and we've polled and we've done our research, and this is what has come up. Why does it take so long to get results of tests and results of results for physically results? And it can be very, very frustrating. And so, but yeah, I mean, for us, we just want to empower you and people, who are looking for, and I did this, again, I'm going to go back to the post I made today. And, we had somebody come in who had said, he was in here last night, is from the racing community. He came in last night, came down from Minnesota, which is super cool. Came all the way down from Minnesota, 8.5 hours, 9 hours or so. And we go through some of this testing, and he goes, "Man, you have all this right here?" It's like, uh-huh. I was like, when we do something here, it's like, we want to figure out what it is. If we have to refer out for more imaging and stuff like that, we absolutely can. But I was like, as far as what we do in our wheelhouse and what we're trying to provide here, no, it's now. And he's like, well, that's cool. And then we go through more of the evaluation, and he was hit with farm equipment, hit in the back of the head with farm equipment. Luckily, he didn't go out. He would have been killed if he had passed out and been knocked out cold, and a piece of equipment would have ran over him. But he's had debilitating migraines ever since, debilitating neck pain. Loves racing. He's not going to stop racing, not going to stop doing what he wants and loves to do. Well, maybe you should stop that. No, that's not what health looks like. That's not what life should look like. That's what I'm about. I want you to want and love the things you want to do as long as you want and love to do them. So we're going through this evaluation, and he goes, I've been to 3 other chiropractors. I've gone to neurologist. I've gone to pain management, and nobody's been able to help me. But they haven't taken any of these films or anything that you've taken today. Like, I've never seen it. He's like, I had an MRI and a CT scan to make sure I didn't have a brain bleed, but they just gave me some medication and gave me a couple shots in my neck, and, told, watch and wait. If symptoms like this come up, come back in. But he's like, that was 2016 and nobody's been able to help me, and I have never seen anything like this. And it's like, why?
Right.
So now we're talking the speed of, okay, was it mismanaged because hands were tied, but also the speed of results for the person themselves as far as being better. I mean, this guy's almost working on 10 years now.
That's the difference between an acute injury and then turn into a chronic injury, and that's a whole other story that we're going down.
So it's like, in the speed of which you should get results of any kind should at least be moving in that direction very quickly, if not immediately. It's like, no, you're not going to change a broken leg overnight into a not broken leg. But the speed at which you should start getting results on broken legs, on subluxation, on ankle sprains, on metabolic issues, autoimmunity. This isn't a watch and wait game.
Yeah.
And that's what it's kind of become. And this is what people are saying they're frustrated with. And that's something that we want to talk on, because I think the biggest thing is are you in network or not? Valid question. But understand what in and out of network means, and really consider the goals of, and if you have the means, it's like, I don't care. Like, we've had people come in here. It's like, I don't care what it costs. Give me everything you got. I want to take care of myself. I want this gone. Give me your best. It's like, okay, well, here's what it is. You want to do everything we got? Here it is. And some people don't need that. They're coming in for X, and it's like, this is what it is. And they're like, oh, some of them are like, that's it. Like, yeah, that's not bad for an out-of-network office. Like, it's not based on price. Out-of-network does not mean higher price.
Right.
A lot of times in-network can, just like the example I gave earlier.
Yeah. I wanted to go down the route of deductibles and co-insurance and all that, but I won't, because I think that's a whole nother podcast we can get into.
Yeah.
But
and I think it's super important we do that too.
People understand, what that actually means, and going into detail on both also in and out of network deductibles, because you also have that, and people don't even realize they have that. So
producer Sam, write that down.
Let's plan on doing that one, just to get some of that base information out, because I think that's important for people to understand. And a lot of offices will explain that stuff as a courtesy. It's not their job to explain it. It's your job to really understand your own insurance. And the majority of people that we talk to don't understand
Right.
A lot of it.
And hint, the person on the other side of the phone does not understand it either. They're reading off a screen. So I'll leave it at that. There's my passionate rant, but also a very good hint of the lady on the phone said this. Yeah, well, she's reading off a screen. But so again, the speed at which healthcare is happening now, we all know is down. When we talk and we speak and we get hand raises and we ask questions of, who likes where our health is going in this country, raise your hand, and nobody raises their hand. We firmly believe it's nobody's happy with it, but they don't know where to go and who to trust, and they don't know what they don't know, and they're afraid to ask. And at the end of the day, they want it to be faster, and they feel helpless that they don't. I mean, that's honestly what it is. There's so many people that are looking for answers, aren't getting it fast enough, and they feel helpless and very, very frustrated. And it's sad. So hopefully things like this, and you can see our heart through this as far as like, this is why, not just us, I mean, any offices, don't let the out-of-network scare you, because it could be more affordable and definitely faster because hands aren't tied. Wasn't necessarily supposed to be all about the insurance game, but I mean, anything. I mean,
that's a big piece of it.
It is. I try to like diminish it because I'm not really one to shoot missiles. I just want to inspire, but it really is.
Well, in reality, just something needs to change, and it's not going the right direction right now. So if And more and more providers that we talk to are wanting to go out of network for those same reasons.
We've got a whole ass hospital that's going out of network.
Yeah. So it's like, we want to be able to provide the right care. And in order to do that, if it means being out of network, then that's what it is.
Imagine raising a child with constraints that you had to check in with exactly how to do that from other people. Imagine always having to go back to your parents to ask and see if it's okay on how you raise your child.
Yeah.
Just kind of came to me, but I mean, or you have to go to your in-laws and be like, so we're going to enroll them in hockey, and would that be okay? It's like, well, first we need to make sure they can skate, and first, like, no, like, we're enrolled. This is how we're going to learn. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to get the result. They want to play hockey, we're enrolling them in hockey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So remove the constraints or identify the constraints. Learn what the constraints are, and if you're not getting things in a timely manner around your health and any sort of results, try to figure out what those constraints are. Not just like, oh, I'm not getting it. Let's try to figure it out. And if you have questions, ask. If we can be a resource for you, send us a message. Ask. But we understand it can be frustrating. We understand long treatment times and diagnostic times and result times are a thing. But I think there's clear avenues, and we've gone over some things and why that's happening. So just know you deserve health. You deserve health. You deserve to have answers. You deserve to not have constraints. And there's people depending on you to be healthy, your family, your friends, your loved ones, your team, your workplace. There's people depending on you and want you to be the best version of yourself. So choose health and know you can achieve it, and take the progress and get it in a timely manner that you deserve. So anything else?
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth, 100%. See ya.